Hello and welcome back to another Great Deception podcast. I'm Don Britton, and today I want to talk with you about worldly connections and specifically about social media. You know, there are some basic human needs that we all have. For one is to feel connected to other humans. They say that if a baby is not held and loved on when it's very young as an infant, that it will become very messed up and dysfunctional and won't progress normally as a human being. And children, as they grow up in their early years, they need to feel loved and protected by their parents in order for them to be healthy emotionally. And they need this so they don't seek love, as they say, in all the wrong places. This is what happens a lot of times when children are neglected. They pick out the wrong friends, and girls get in trouble with the boys, and boys look for the wrong things, and so forth. Children also, I found this out in going to the children's ministry many years ago, children also equate a love with discipline. In other words, if they have boundaries or they are disciplined as children and not allowed to do everything they want and have everything they want, they feel they have a sense of security from that. They sense that they're loved and protected, even though they may seem like they don't appreciate it, but they really do. And when children have limits and do experience disappointments in life, they're much more able to flourish then as they in their adulthood. They're able to flourish emotionally and function normally, and also spiritually with the Lord. You know, because this gives them the understanding that not everything is going to be perfect in life, and they don't always get their way, and so it is with the Lord. But this basic need to feel connected to others can also become a great danger, especially in the teenage years, because teenagers have a tendency to sort of wander away from their parents a little bit and start looking at their peers for support and so forth. Teenagers don't have the discernment and experiences of life that older parents do, so they have a tendency to get caught up in the wrong kind of connections that are detrimental to their mental and spiritual health. So if this wrong type of connection is not corrected, it will continue to be a problem even in adulthood, because a lot of times adults grow up and they still have this false need to be connected to the wrong people for the wrong reasons. The correct solution for this basic human need is that need to feel connected is permanently satisfied when one gives their whole heart to the Lord and are connected totally to Him. Then all other relationships are now unnecessary, even though they may be acceptable, but not for the same purposes to fulfill that need to be satisfied. All other relationships are now unnecessary to fulfill your basic human need to feel connected to others, even though you may have those relationships as part of your stay here on the earth, but they are unnecessary for fulfilling your need, because it is now satisfied. Your need, that is now satisfied in the Lord and with His people. The second most basic human need is to be accepted by others. You know, no one wants to be rejected, and it's just a natural thing for us to want to be accepted by others. But when you make compromises to be accepted by others, then you will always go down the wrong path. When we are accepted by the Lord, no other acceptance is necessary, even though it may be desired, but it should not be desired to the extent that we make compromise and do worldly things in order to have that acceptance. We should live our life by standards that please God, even if those standards, or if we don't please other people. Even though those other people may be our own family or our peers, we need not compromise. So often teens and even adults make compromises to do things with others they shouldn't do, and they wouldn't do otherwise, and they know they shouldn't do when they're with their friends or their peers, just so they can be accepted. When you're acceptable to the Lord, and you believe that in your heart, in other words, by faith, you believe that you're acceptable to the Lord, then you will be free from man-pleasing and trying to be free from trying to be accepted by others, I should say. The third most basic human need is to belong to something. To belong to something bigger than yourself. You know, everybody wants to belong to something. That's why they have clubs, and they have teams, and people join up different things. You know, I used to belong to a flying club, for an example. I didn't belong to it to be accepted, but people do sometimes. You know, so you want to. It's a human basic need or desire to belong to something greater than yourself. It may be to a group or to a cause or to belong to a family, to have a family, or to a philosophy, or just to some experience, to belong to something. Social media seems to fulfill this need of belonging, but at the end of the day, it's mostly meaningless because it only offers feelings without any purpose. After one is connected to 1,000 people on Facebook, let's say, or to looked at 500 images on Snapchat or on Instagram, when it's all over with, has anything been accomplished meaningful? No, it really hasn't. Even though they belong to a large group of so-called friends, and they're so-called friends, everybody's your friend on Facebook, even though they belong to all these so-called friends, nothing worthwhile has really happened. There's only been a feeling, an emotional feeling, and that feeling flees shortly after you close the app, and then you only have hunger, and then the hunger comes back again to satisfy that same feeling again. So the addiction is accomplished when all this happens because you can't ever get over it. You can't ever quit. You got to keep doing it. So the addiction is accomplished by the need to belong to something, the need to be accepted by others, and the need to connect to people. So the addiction goes on and on and on and on unless you get satisfied in the Lord. All of this connecting is meaningless unless the connection is directed. In other words, if you're on social media, it has no meaning unless you're using this connection for giving help to other people, to give godly advice, to promote the gospel, to post something worthwhile, to try to give honor and glory to the Lord. But if you're just using it for your own self, just using it to satisfy your own need, then it's meaningless. Again, there's never any satisfaction until one belongs to the Lord and belongs to the kingdom of God. And there's nothing greater to belong to than the kingdom of God. Just imagine the kingdom of God, being a member of the kingdom of God, being a member of God's church, His people, the people He's called to Himself. Is there anything greater that we could belong to than that? So we're talking about what's meaningful versus what is meaningless. And I thought, well, it'd be a good time to just sort of examine the definitions of these two. Okay, the definition for meaningful is having meaning, of course. And the synonyms for it are like significant, relevant, important, consequential, material, weighty, worthwhile, sincere, deep, serious, in earnest, significant, important. So do you see that there is something valuable in the word meaningful? In other words, our life should be meaningful. What we're doing should be meaningful. Our presence on social media should be meaningful, not meaningless. And the opposite of meaningful is meaningless. Meaningless is basically means having no meaning and no importance, no significance. And synonyms for that are like incomprehensible, illogical, senseless, foolish, silly, ridiculous, nonsensical, idle, pointless, aimless, hollow, purposeless, motiveless, useless, unimportant, worthless, insignificant, insubstantial, fruitless, unproductive, and unprofitable. That's what it means to be meaningless. So if that's what your experience on social media is, what's the point? In 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, I'm going to read this from the Amplified Bible. He says this. Paul wrote this. He said this. He said, "Do not be unequally bound together with unbelievers. Do not make mismatched alliances with them, inconsistent with your faith. For what fellowship has light, or what partnership can righteousness have with lawlessness? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? What harmony can there be between Christ and Belial, the devil? Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? What agreement is there between the temple of God and idols? For we are the temple of the living God. Just as God said, I will dwell among them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. So he said, so come out from among unbelievers. Come out from them and be separate, says the Lord. And do not touch what is unclean, and I will graciously receive you and welcome you with favor, and I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord God Almighty. So, let me ask you a question then. Does social media separate you from unbelievers? Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and I could go on and on. Does it really separate you from unbelievers? Does social media keep you from touching what is unclean? Because that's what God said to do. He says, do not touch what is unclean. In Matthew 5, verse 6, Jesus had this to say. He said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. You see, what I'm getting at is this. Social media is an illusion. It promises satisfaction, but it never does. In all the different apps, the music apps, promise satisfaction, but they become addictive and they become empty. You just keep playing and playing and playing, and it really never changes anything. You only become more obsessed and more addicted with it. Same with pornography, same with Facebook, same with Instagram and Snapchat and all those kinds of things. They just keep promising you happiness and keep promising you satisfaction, but you're never satisfied. And there's never any end to it. It only gets worse and worse. You get more and more addicted. So, the satisfaction only comes when you hunger and thirst for what's right. When you hunger and thirst for the things that are right, and you go after those things, that's the only way you're ever going to find any satisfaction. The world's music produces feelings, powerful feelings, but they never satisfy. Snapchat gives you a few moments of excitement with its many explicit images, but you never will be satisfied by just continuing to look at them, because you got to always look at some more, and then you got to look at some more, then you got to look again, then you got to look again. And Instagram will stir up those certain feelings again for a little while, the feelings you get when you're looking at it, and the excitement that you have and the pleasure that you get from it, but it's not really going to satisfy for the long term. And then Pinterest is going to give you all these new ideas, what the trends are, how you should decorate your house, how you should dress, how you should look, what you should do. All this stuff that the world says you need to have to be satisfied. And it's going to keep you busy chasing after all these different things, the next new things that are up. You're going to always be chasing after them, always trying to stay with the trends and always trying to keep up. That's the way of the world. And you're never satisfied. There's never any end to that. Never any contentment with that. And Facebook is going to Facebook will cause you to somehow feel connected with a lot of people. And it will stir up all those exciting feelings that you get when you somehow feel connected to so many people, and being you kind of feel like you're a part of their lives, even though you're really not. It's all just on the image of your phone or your computer. You're really not a part of their lives. And they're only giving you the part of their life. They're only giving you the positive things. They don't tell you who they really are. They don't. It's not. It's all a sham. It's all fake. It's all a false picture. It's not the way people really are. It's not the way they really live. But you feel like you're connected to a lot of people, and you feel like you have a great connection. So what happens is, Facebook's going to cause you to have this feeling that you're such a part of so many people's lives and what they do, but you see, and it's like it makes you feel like they're your friends. But are they really your friends? What is a friend? Isn't a friend somebody that will tell you the truth, that will portray honesty to you? Is that what's coming from Facebook? Is not a friend someone who will correct you when you're wrong, who will point you towards God when you need to be in repentance? Isn't that a friend? It says in the Proverbs, it says better are the wounds of a friend than the kisses of an enemy. And so what's a friend? It's someone who will wound you if necessary to turn you the right way. Is that what you get from Facebook? Is that really the friends you have there? You see, little do most people realize that those who connect to the music apps and to Instagram and to Snapchat and to Pinterest and to Facebook and even to the porn websites or whatever they're connecting to, little do they realize that they are connecting directly to the world and to the ways of the world, which is the very opposite of what God has called His people to do. You see, the world influences the mind and the thinking. You see, all these different apps, they influence your thinking. A lot of times it's done in a very subtle way. You don't even realize they're influencing your thinking, but they are. Even the music is influencing your thinking. It's influencing your attitudes, and you may not even realize it. And it works on your emotions, and it distorts values and principles. It changes things, the way you look at things versus the way God says things should be versus the way the world is. It has an influence on you. And it does work on your human connections. You think it's giving you what you need for your human connections, but it's done without God, and it's done without His ways, and it's done without His purposes. So now, I want you to look at the whiteboard drawing I just did on the social media connections. Okay, now this is what I've been talking about, about all these connections with the world. Right here on this illustration, I've got you right here in the middle, you or me. Here's the person, you, let's say. If you're connected to the music app, which is going to be for your pleasure to listen to all these different kinds of music, the truth is you'll also be connected to the spirit of sensuality. In other words, what makes you feel good. Then your feelings are involved, and this music will create a desire or a lust for more of it. So lust is it's an unlawful desire. It's a desire to have what you really shouldn't have. This music stirs up lust of all kinds about the world. It becomes an addiction. The addiction that you got to have more of it. It's not just you can listen to just one little nice song. You have to listen to more and more and more, and then it becomes an obsession. So with music and with the music app, you actually connect yourself to all these things which are not of God, to the sensuality, to all these feelings that you're looking for, the desire, the lust for things that of the world. It also stirs up the addiction thing to where you just got to have it, and then you're obsessed with it. So there you are in the middle now. If you're connected to the music app, these are the kinds of things that's going to develop in you, and they're contrary to the ways of God. Now, on the other hand, the same thing happens with Snapchat. You're connected with Snapchat. Snapchat is all about, again, getting these certain feelings that you're looking for. You get a feeling when you go to Snapchat, and you get to see what's going on, and you get to view all these images. And a lot of these images, a great majority of them are really bad images. They're images of people doing things that are not of God, dressing in a very immodest way, and so forth. There's all kinds of things wrong with this. And then, see, you're also connected. You're connected to worldly people. You're not connected to the people of God that are promoting the things of God. You're connected with worldly people that are promoting the things of the world. And again, Snapchat, it stirs up lust. Some of it's sexual lust. Some of it's just lust to be like other people, to look like other people, to act like other people, to be accepted by other people. It brings you into a false reality of what life is really all about. Snapchat is nothing but evil. It's designed to stir up the things of the world. It's designed to take you away from God. It has no meaningful purpose. So it's another one of those things. It's just like the music app and Snapchat. They work together, and see, they're all connected together. Anyway, getting back to you, there you are in the middle. If you're connected to Instagram, it's the same thing. It's just another version of the same old thing. It stirs up lust. It has connections to bad images. It brings in a certain type of feeling that you're looking for. You see, you're looking to satisfy this feeling you have. You want this feeling again and again. That's why you're going to these things. So it stirs up these feelings, and it causes you to do the same thing with the music app and Snapchat, Instagram. All does the same thing. It stirs up feelings, a false reality, addictions, obsessions. All these things are connected. And then, of course, the big one, Facebook. Facebook is nothing but it's a cesspool of gossip. See, what gossip's all about, and as I've already shared with you, gossip is all about trying to keep up with what everybody's doing, everything they did, wherever they went. It's basically it's about being nosy. It's about trying to find out what's going on, see what they're up to. That's what gossip is all about. So Facebook is really just a huge connection with the world, the people of the world, the ways of the world. Gossip and all that stuff is connected with gossip. Again, it's false connections. You know, you say, well, I want to be connected. Well, in Facebook, you're connected, all right, but you're connected to what? A whole lot of people of the world, which is not what we're supposed to be as Christians. And then you say, well, I've got all these friends. Well, they're false friends, because unless they're correcting you for your sins and turning you to the Lord Jesus Christ and pointing you towards the things of God, they're not your friends. And so here we got this like a spider web, the whole spider web, you in the middle, and all these social connections, all these social medias, all these social things here of the world are connecting you to all kinds of stuff that's not of God. This is the danger. It brings in all these different false things, false impressions about life, false impressions of what you need to be happy and all this stuff. And it just really destroys the work of God. So it is very dangerous, again, and I want you to understand this. So please examine your heart. Why do you feel a need for these things? What is it that they're doing for you? Are you using social media to get out the gospel? Are you using social media to try to explain the ways of life that are correct? Or are you just using it for your own pleasure? That's the key. What is your purpose? Where is your heart? If you join any of the social medias, it should be for a meaningful purpose, like sharing about the Lord, for an example, or posting a good YouTube, or even giving some good advice about family or business or home or how to fix something. I mean, there's some good YouTubes out there that I've had to look up how to do some things. I had to put a screen on my laptop one time, and if it wasn't for YouTube, I never got it fixed. So there is a good purpose you can use social media for. So if you can post something like that that'll help somebody in their natural life or their spiritual life, that's great. But if you're just using it for your own self, if you're just using it for getting those feelings and those emotions and driving those lusts and those obsessions, then it's meaningless. It is just meaningless. And another thing is that gossip is a deadly sin. Gossip is one of those sins that if you practice it, you will not inherit the kingdom of God. Gossip is all about being curious about what others are doing, what they did, where they went, what they said, keeping up with what people do, being nosy about others and talking then and sharing with and thinking about what others are doing. It's always about that. Gossip is all about that nosiness, that tale-bearing that's going from house to house, so to speak. But instead of going from house to house now and gossiping, you just get on Facebook or get on social media, and you can keep up with people's lives. You can go check out an old boyfriend or an ex-wife or ex-husband, or you can find out what somebody you went to high school is doing now. It's all about the spirit of gossip. You know, what are they up to? Who are they with? What happened to them? It's all about nosiness and gossip and curiosity. That's what gossip is all about. And we're not supposed to participate in it. We're not supposed to touch it. But most social media today is powered by the spirit of gossip and the spirit of lust. Lust is not just sexual lust. Lust is the lust for those feelings you get. Those feelings you get when you go on Snapchat and you see your friend's pictures or somebody else's pictures. The feelings you get when you flip on that music app and you listen to all those songs that stir up all that sensuality inside of you. You see, that's another kind of lust. So the social media platforms are all about bringing out certain feelings in you and causing you to succumb to certain philosophies and the ways of the world, and it's full of gossip and it's full of lust. The music apps and Snapchat and Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook and all other forms of social media connect you with the world and with its people and with its ways and with its influences. So I'm going to ask you a question. How can you honestly walk with God in purity and holiness and righteousness when you indulge in these social media platforms and pleasures and influences at the same time you're trying to walk with God? How can you do that? How can you do that? You see, addictions and obsessions are always totally against the Lord. We're only supposed to love Him with all of our heart. We're supposed to desire Him above all else. Addictions and obsessions are totally against the will of God. These social media connections are very addictive, and they will ruin the souls of those who obsess over them and continually to seek for the feelings that really never satisfy. By the way, pornography does the same thing. It promises satisfaction to those who watch it, but it really never delivers. You see, you have to get deeper into it and more obsessed with it. And what it does, it warps the mind of men and women about love and sex, and it destroys a normal relationship between a husband and a wife. And it never satisfies, and it leaves them empty and hopeless. And you know, the truth is that even a lot of young men, when they're in their teenage years and early 20s and stuff, are now committing suicide after having been in pornography for a long time. And there's a lot of young people, even teens, that are committing suicide because they've been their life is meaningless. They've spent so much time on Facebook, so much time on the different social media platforms, and it's all come to nothing. They have no purpose in life. And just to click onto another app or just to spend more time on their phone and see, there are even centers now to help people with addictions, help kids with addictions to Facebook and to their phones and to their Snapchats and to their Instagrams and to their social media connections. They're so addicted. They're on it. Sometimes I even saw where in some cases young people are texting, for an example, up to 15 and 20 hours a day texting, and they just can't stop. They're just addicted to this device. And so it just shows you how dangerous all of this is. And see, we didn't have this problem when I was growing up, and it's a whole new thing. It's a whole new problem. And see, this digital age has only come about in the last 20 or 30 years. It's a brand new thing, and it's killing people. It's ruining the souls and lives of people. We need to look at it like it's dangerous, and it is. And parents are giving their kids iPhones when they're 10, 11, 12 years old. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. So, since this stuff doesn't satisfy, neither does Snapchat, Instagram, the music app, or Facebook, or Pinterest, or pornography. It doesn't satisfy. And I can tell you it doesn't satisfy because you have to keep doing it over and over and over again. You have to keep connecting. You have to connect more and more. You have to connect more and more and more and more and more and more to try to be satisfied. This is also the same reason the way the world is, because see, in the world everything's got to be bigger and better, more and more, more and more, more and more. Enough is not enough. Enough is not enough. Got to have some more. Got to have more of everything. More money, more this, more pleasure, more this, more sin, more. Everything's about more and more and more in the world. There's never any contentment. This is also the reason why birthdays, even among people who are believers, they get carried away with it. Birthdays, they get bigger and bigger every year. It's like when it started out, it was just a little thing. Then it's a little bit bigger. Then when they're 4 years old, they have to do something bigger than the 3-year-old. Then they get 6. Then they get 8 or 9. By the time they're 12, you got to rent the World's Fair to have a birthday party. There's no end to it. It's insanity. It's because of the influence of the world. What happened to simplicity? What happened to simplicity of devotion to Christ? So these are the ways of the world, and these ways never satisfy. They never satisfy. Getting bigger and bigger and bigger and better and better and better and more does not satisfy. Only the Lord satisfies. These are the ways of the world that are never satisfying. Addictions and obsessions never satisfy. There's something else about the social media you need to think about. Social media is, when you open yourself up to social media, it's like opening a door of your soul. And that door is connected now with the world. You've now opened up the door to the world, and your soul is now having access to the world. And in the world, Satan is the ruler of the world, and he now has access to come into your heart, into your soul, and take over. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to take over to try to ruin you. He's going to get you involved in something. He's going to influence you with something. He's going to turn you away from what's good to what's worldly, and do it every way he can through all these experiences and all these feelings and all these addictions to cause you to be destroyed. That's his whole goal. You see, there's never any satisfaction in what Satan does. You always got to go further and deeper in sin to try to find satisfaction. But true satisfaction only comes with peace. And lasting peace only comes with freedom from all those strongholds that were controlling your life before. And freedom only comes with a sincere, wholehearted relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. You have no freedom apart from that. And so I want to read to you what John said in 1 John chapter 2, verse 15, in the Amplified. He said, "Do not love the world, that is, of sin that opposes God and his precepts, nor the things that are in the world." And man, what we've been talking about, certainly in the world and of the world. If anyone loves the world, he says the love of God is not in him. So he actually says the love of the Father is not in him. For all that's in the world, that is the lust and the sensual cravings of the flesh, and the lust and the longing of the eyes. I mean, is this not true? It's all about what you can see on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or Snapchat or the music app, what you can see or hear or feel or taste. He says, for the lust and sensual cravings for all that's in the world is the lust and sensual cravings of the flesh, and the lust and the longing of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life. That is the pretentious confidence in one's resources or in the stability of earthly things. Boy, is that not a picture? These do not come from the Father, but are from the world. The world is passing away along with its lust, that is, its shameful pursuits, its ungodly longings, and that's what we're talking about, ungodly longings here. Meaningless things. But the one who does the will of God and carries out his purposes, he lives forever. Isn't that wonderful? So, to sum it all up, you cannot be acceptable to the Lord if you're loving the world and its ways. You just can't do it. I just had a talk with a young man recently who had a while back repented of living in sin, and then found himself again living in sin not long ago. And here's what he told me. He recognized that he kept one door open to social media. He was connected with Snapchat and a music app that was really having an influence on him. And as a result, he fell back into sin just almost as bad as he was before. He realized that he kept the door open by not completely cutting off all those connections. All those connections that had a bad influence on him before. It doesn't matter if it's friends that you have. It doesn't matter if it's your pet sin. You have to cut off the connections if you're going to repent so that you don't fall back into the same things again. So anyway, he now has, on his own, he deleted all of his social media connections, all the apps off his phone, you know, the Snapchat and the music apps and all the other things that was influencing him the wrong way. He's deleted them all off, which was a wise choice for him. And so as a result of that, he is very hopeful now that he's on the road to spiritual recovery and he'll be okay with the Lord. That's what our hope is. So here's what I want you to do. Please listen to me here. Don't flirt with the world on social media. Just because everybody else is, you don't have to do it. If you use social media for promoting the Lord, that's fine, that's great, and it can be done. Then that's a wonderful thing. In other words, if you use it, try to help somebody. But if you're using social media to receive those lustful and longing feelings of those experiences, and for the excitement that you find in it, or for the gossip that you crave, then you will be in great danger of losing your soul forever and forever and forever. So just think about it. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to exchange a short-term pleasure for the long-term loss of your soul? Is it really worth it? You know, Jesus said one time, what would a man give in exchange for his soul? What would you give in exchange for your soul? What are you giving in exchange for your soul? Any of these things? Does this speak to you? Well, I hope you listen next week to another Great Deception podcast.